every time we get together, but whatever, let's get lost on Mars.
That's a really great example of what I was saying before about that articulation.
Sound check.
G'day and welcome to another vocal analysis here at Voice Essentials. My name is Dr. Dan and today we will be reviewing the really interesting voice of Dua Lipa, and this is a concert that she did only 7 or 8 months ago, certainly at the time of this recording, of her tune Levitating. This particular song has had quite a bit of controversy surrounding it. We're not going to get into that today. All we're going to do is listen to the tune, listen to the voice, and really have a look at what Dua Lipa is doing. She's what I would classify as a very strong mezzo-soprano voice, almost leaning towards alto. This song is what I would categorise as sort of dance pop. Little insight here, I listen to quite a bit of dance pop when I'm doing my workouts. I find it, really great for cardio. And so I'm not unfamiliar with the form, but it's not something that we typically review here on the channel. So I hope you enjoy the difference of just the musical genre, and I hope you enjoy listening to Dua Lipa's voice because it's got this wonderful lower quality that she really takes a full advantage of, and she's quite an engaging performer as well. Let's get into it. Let's have a listen to some of the very clever things that she does with her vocals. One of the features that we're going to be able to watch as we go along here is the strength of the pulse, the beat, and the way Dua Lipa really works with, one could almost call it articulation, but she's allowing the drive, the pulse of the beat to drive the lyric, and really vice versa for the pulse of the lyric to drive the beat. You're going to hear really clear articulation. The other thing I want you to watch too is, even though there's a really strong drive for the beat, her movements in her dance are accentuated but quite smooth. That's going to be important for her vocal line as we go along.
I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in our eyes, shining slowly all night. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. Hey, you want me, I want you, baby, my sugar boo. I'll levitate it, the Milky Way, we're renegade. Yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me.
I just feel myself dancing along. It's such a driving beat. You do want to just get up and dance with it, right? Can we just highlight that lovely lower tone? In modern days, we're so captivated by high notes. We're always making note of whistle tone and really extensive use of vocal range, really high notes. It's actually quite refreshing to listen to a vocal that really isn't high at all. This is a much lower voice. It's got a lovely mellow tone. In the old days, we would have almost referred to this as alto because it sits really quite low. She's on occasion extending that range, and we do hear some referencing of upper register where she accesses and it creates that contrast so we don't feel like we're bogged down in the lower register, but nonetheless it's very accessible, and for that reason it's very singable. and very singable in this context. She's dancing the entire way. Her aerobic fitness has to be A grade. Yeah, you can't be moving around like this and singing live and not have really good aerobic fitness.
I see it's written in the stars. We can go whatever, so let's do it now or never, baby. Nothing's ever too far. Glitter in the sky, glitter in our eyes, shining just the way we are. I feel like we're forever every time we get together, but whatever, let's get lost on Mars.
That's a really great example of what I was saying before about that articulation. That is so crisp. She really articulates the diction values of that line. Let's have a listen to that again because it's really well done.
We can go whatever, so let's do it now or never, baby. Nothing's ever too far. Glitter in the sky, glitter in our eyes, shining just the way we are. I feel like we're forever every time we get together, but whatever, let's get lost on Mars.
Yeah.
You want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'll levitate it. The Milky Way, we're renegading, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'll levitate you, moonlight, you're my starlight.
I made mention before about her smooth movements with her dance. But I want to point out something that's very clever, and I've had the great privilege of working with a dance troupe and being danced around while I sing. And when you're working with great dancers, they make you look, well, certainly in my case, they made me look much better than I probably was. Because what they're doing is the dancers, because they're not having to sing, so they're able to go all out. They're able to really create a lot of energy, a lot of very distinct movement that is very much in keeping with the piece being performed. Meanwhile, Dua, in this particular case, Dua Lipa, is in the center of all of that. She's able to be a little less aggressive with her dance movements. She's certainly still choreographed. It's all in sync, but she doesn't have to be so aggressive and accentuated, which does sort of leave her with that a little bit more aerobic freedom in keeping with her vocal. Full credit to the dancers here because they're not carrying Dua Lipa by any stretch, but they're really playing an important role in building that synergy for the overall picture. And we can't underestimate the importance of that. These dancers are, you know, they're A class.
I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'll levitate you. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you.
See how smooth her movement is?
You can fly away.
Even that clap just there, it's not aggressive onto the mic. That's also actually a pretty important point in live performance. If you clap heavily onto your mic, you're going to get that kind of a sound. We don't want that, especially into a stadium size PA. It's not big movement. She's quite managed with it. Let's have a watch of it again.
Fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride.
See, that is quite soft, isn't it?
You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. My love is like a rocket with your blast off, and I'm feeling so electric, that's awesome.
Have a watch of the dancers there and see if you can just, compare what the dancers are doing compared to the movement of Dua, and you'll get my point. See, the girls behind are being far more direct.
Sugar boo, I'm levitating, the Milky Way, we're renegading. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Jingle bell boom, make some noise. You can fly away with me tonight.
Yeah, I made the comment recently in an analysis of the Fab Five pentatonics where I referenced the sixth member as being the arrangements. In a great sort of very cool way, the second member on stage here, besides the dancers, is the choreographer. Too often in some of these dance sort of orientated performances, you can really hear the singer is struggling with their breathing, not because they're not a good singer, not because they don't have good breath management, but there's a limit to what human beings can do when it comes to their aerobic fitness and how they manage their breath through the larynx. But the choreography of this piece actually permits Dua to maintain that level of airflow, what we refer to as phonatory threshold flow, so that it's really even through the larynx and doesn't create sort of a sense in which she's trying to hold it back because she's just trying to keep up with the dance movement. Really important, and it allows her to maintain a really good quality vocal. And on top of all that, the melody of this particular piece is not extensive, and that also is contributing to her being able to be relatively even with it.
You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight.
Now she gets to be really... So the song's nearly over. The performance is nearly over. But now, because it's nearly over, she can be far more aggressive with the movement. Have a watch.
All night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight.
Much stronger in her movement.
You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Let me take you for a ride.
I quite like that. Yeah, see, you didn't know that Dr. Dan enjoyed listening to some dance pop. I do, and that's a great tune, and it's also done by a great singer, and it really re-emphasizes the idea you don't have to have this, range of 7 octaves that people seem to think is what qualifies you to be a great singer. You don't. That melody can't be going over more than an octave and a half. Maybe it's a bit more, but not much. But it's still great music because it's driven by this wonderful pulse, this wonderful beat. It's not about vocal show-off. It's just about great music. And so if you are one of those people who sit at home going, I'd really like to sing, but I don't have 7 octaves, you don't need it. In fact, the vast majority of songs that you'll ever sing, the vast majority of melodies cover an octave and a half, 2 octaves max. That's all you need. And so I hope that encourages you, because Dua's out there doing it. Why can't you? I hope you've enjoyed today's vocal analysis. Oh, that was a fun one. I did that more for fun than anything because I like dance pop. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Leave a thumbs up if you did, and I hope to see you again in the next vocal analysis. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.